Afternoon, everyone. We are happy to welcome you to the Speaker Insight Facebook training, and we've got Laura Phillips with us today. We are Speaker Insight. My name is Helena.
And I'm Kelly.
And we help speakers, authors, and coaches to really build a portfolio business on your terms. And today is quite an exciting one because there's an element of building a portfolio business around the whole launching element that we really want to explore. But before we get on to all of that, let me tell you, if you are new to us, that we have a fantastic space, a Facebook group called the Connection Hub, where we've got over 11,000, nearly many people, speakers, authors, and coaches, but also the people who support them, people like Laura, people who are web designers, illustrators, launch queens in all sorts of ways that support and help you build your business so that you really can grow and thrive, but without burning out and tearing your hair out at the same time.
So we go live every Tuesday, as you probably noticed, for the last 3 years. I don't think we've missed a Facebook Live at 1 o'clock. And we love to know where our audience is listening from, because we have a worldwide audience of all those people in the hub and people that are watching on our page. So in the comments, just give us a wave, say hello, let these numbers become names and faces for us. And if you want to, share where you're watching this from. I know that Laura's in Solihull. So we've got a Solihull person here. If you're in that neck of the woods, then give us a shout out. And if you're watching this on the replay, do a hashtag replay so that we know that you're watching this on the catch up, however far in the distant future that would be, so that we can monitor your Facebook comments, and also make sure you tag Laura, because this isn't her preferred platform. She's normally on Instagram, but she's definitely in the hub and she's here to answer your questions today. So if you've got questions and you're watching us on the replay, tag her or tag us and we'll make sure we get back to you.
And I want to know, what time is it in Cincinnati? That's what I want to know, because someone's watching from there. So are you up early? Are you an early bird? That really makes a lot of sense to me, because yeah, good on you is all I can say. And you are either really interested in launches or just tied into what can I do next to grow my business. Now, before we get into the meat of everything, we like to know from all of you watching. It's 8:02 in the morning. Well, there you have it. So what we really like to do is ensure that you get a chance to actually let us know what's going on in your business. We call it the buzz in your business. So we'll tell you ours after the little jingle, but get yours ready. Type it in. What are you actually up to that's exciting? What's inspiring you in your business for your clients?
So we'll kick you off and we'll give Laura some time to think about what her buzz is too, because we'll come to her. But tell us in the comments while we're talking about ours. Ours is, as always, the first week, because it's the last day of August today, which I cannot believe. Don't say the C word, anyone.
I'm not saying anything.
But we're into the last quarter of this year. And that means when we have our first week of the month in our membership group, Changemaker Central, we always have lots of live events that people access, whether that's a hot seat session where one of our members get to have a 360 feedback from us and our members on their business, whether that's our B2B marketing clinic with Charlie Wyman, who focuses on an area like LinkedIn and stuff, or whether it's our monthly spotlight, which is our live deep dive training. And this month is on how to position yourself as an expert. So these are the things that are live trainings that happen in our Changemaker Central membership group, which Helena will drop the link to, and I will do as well if you want to join. But that's just the buzz in our business
at the moment.
All of these live trainings. So what have we got here? I'm just trying to see who that is.
It's always a big week for her.
Oh, that's you. Sorry, I thought it was somebody else. I'm launching a couple of new books on Kindle tomorrow. Super excited. That sounds great, Liz. And make sure that on the book promo offer in the Connection Hub that you're putting the links to those books and you're adding it to the Connection Hub library too. So make sure you check out those videos. Sure. Congrats, Liz. Laura, tell us about it. I know you've had some time to think about it.
I was just thinking on that, like, it's been such a crazy few months. Typically August is downtime for me. I have a blended family of 6, so school holidays.
Wow.
But Yeah, it's pretty busy. But I also have a growing team. We've just moved into new offices in Solihull. If anyone's ever in the local area, come say hello. So we've had like a really busy summer. So I've kind of enjoyed getting the office done, taking care of the family, having some downtime. As we move into September, October, November, it's launch season. So we're a coaching and consulting company. So currently we're managing 4 launches. So we're coming into busy season. So I'm so pumped that September is tomorrow. Some people like, no, like they want summer back. But for me, yeah, it's like slow down. For me, it's just the most busy, fun, exciting time of the year. And then I take lots of December off. So I'm about to sprint for the next few months and just smash some launches.
This is your busy time where actually you're managing lots of stuff. And sometimes people's December times are that where they're trying to cram everything in for the end of the year, but you've got like a reverse quarter, which is great. Yeah. Take December off is a great thing.
And there is something, sort of really special about kind of building your business around the niche expertise that you have. And that's, of course, what you do. So that does pattern the rhythm of your business, in some way. So let's actually get you on board and see, sort of introduce you to those people who may not know of you. What I really do want to know from those of you who are listening, again, either on the hashtag replay or indeed if you're listening here live, are you using launches as part of your business model? And if so, what for? Because I'm sure Laura would really love to know. And that also helps us, pick her brain while we've got her here, ask all the questions that you've got around launching. If you're new to them, if you're an old hat and kind of are here just to go, what else can I do to make them even better? We want to know. And if you've got a launch of something coming up, we want to know about that too. So pop that in for us too. So, one of the reasons why we like Laura is because, of course, we are very aligned around, we love creating a win-win-win. And this is all about, giving your business the chance to win in all sorts of ways. So before you tell us all the juicy stuff, even though what I'm about to ask you is also juicy, tell us a little bit about how Love to Launch actually got started and what your background is that got you there, because it's looking very different today with everything you were just saying about the new office from how it looked even a year ago, never mind a little bit before then. So give us some back history, please.
So different. The past 12 months, honestly, have been the biggest growth we've ever had in business. It's been the most fun. It's been also the most challenging, going from essentially just over a year ago, it was me and my daughter who's worked in the company since she was 14, 15. She's almost 19. Yeah, 4 years she's worked for the company.
Amazing.
Which is crazy. Essentially, it was really just me and her building what was a kind of a courses and coaching company. And how things have evolved is we've moved more into the consulting side. So we manage lots of launches. I train launch teams. And I feel like we've gone from having what was a lifestyle business that was really something built to support my health to what's now it's like a full-blown full service agency within the launch space. So I feel like we're a grown-up business, but it definitely was not that way. It was a really easy breezy, it's still easy, but it was a very different kind of business. And it was created because I used to be a web designer and I was working with 40 different clients across 5 different time zones. I was burnt out and exhausted. My health started to suffer. And I could see so many people having success selling courses online. I was like, I can do this. No. Let's just say my first launch was stressful. It was chaotic. It was complicated, and it was so scripted and polished that actually, when I look back at that content, I'm like, that wasn't me. So my early launches were not fun. Now I was making money enough to get me away from a very stressful one-on-one business that I wasn't enjoying too much into the world of selling courses. But something still wasn't working. It actually took this failed launch where I brought 900 people onto a webinar, sold nothing, for me to go, do you know what? I just need to get back to doing how I do things my way, which is actually always from a place of service. So I put on this free event, just a week of coaching in a free Facebook group. And I didn't plan to sell, but realized at the end of it, I was not serving the people in that community if I didn't give them something. So I sold a coaching program. Yeah, of course. So made £18,000 and realized that actually the way that I was trying to do launches wasn't aligned with me, my values, how I wanted to show up in the world. And it was so much easier. And then someone asked, how did you do that? And that's how Love to Launch was born, through this accidental launch that was never meant to be. Here we are 4 years on. We work with 8-figure entrepreneurs, and it's crazy. It's just blown up. But that mistake, that horrible launch led to this new way of doing things.
It's really funny because I love the stories of people kind of coming into how they've built what they've built, because there is as soon as you look under the carpet, you go, oh, it's not all fluid and beautiful. It's actually like that chance question of how did you? Because when people see you do something that they actually go, hang on a minute, that actually looks really good, and they ask that question, to germinate a whole business from just that one question. So many people, so many of the speakers, authors and coaches that we've got inside the Connection Hub, we see posts all the time that say, well, how do I do that? And actually you've probably got it sitting inside you straight away with the expertise that you've got, and that sounds like exactly how you've built your business.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's always been from a place of alignment. My number one value is love. So everything that we do within our company is about how do we give love, how do we show love, how do we receive love, how do we make people feel loved, how do we inject love into sometimes what can be quite a faceless world, the internet marketing space. So how can we do this in a way that feels great to everyone involved, including us, our clients and our community? And it's just Beautiful. A thread that weaves through everything. So yeah.
How lovely.
The thing that's really what we love about you as well, Laura, is that alignment piece, because obviously one of our tagline is about doing business on your terms, right? And on your terms for us means, of course, there's structure, there's strategy, there's a formula to follow. But what we saw when we first started this company up was the fact that people were just literally swipe filing, copy and pasting, becoming inauthentic with who they are, trying to make themselves fit into something. And therefore wondering, like a bit like, I mean, well done, we're getting 900 people on the webinar, but not so great for the conversion. But do you know what I mean? It's because they've obviously attracted to the webinar, but then you're trying to be somewhere else and trying to go, oh, it's not natural because I'm supposed to be saying this right now. And that authenticity, that fluidness isn't there. So we encourage people to really identify who they are, their uniqueness, their personality, their message, all those things that nobody can copy, nobody can take away from you either, and fit that into a structure. Yeah. And so that's what, I know there's people here, Liz is going that she's pretty new to the launch. She wants to hear your top tips and your gems, the must-dos in launching. And Nancy's about to launch a live event in October to a coaching program. So we will get into some juicy bits because Laura's got lots to share. And also she's got some offers for you to continue learning with her from free events and stuff after this too. So we'll make sure, stay watching. We'll put those links in.
Yeah.
We also want to highlight the fact that Laura speaks our language, right? Yeah. And one of the things that we were just talking about before we went live is the fact that part of that structure and that strategy is giving yourself enough time to do something, because there is a process to follow. And so we'll talk about that in a minute, because what I want to help define for people that are watching this, maybe that have never launched something before, is for you to define what launch means to you, Laura. Because in our community, we have people that will have book launches. They might be launching a new brand. They might have an online course. They might have their
website, whatever.
What does launching mean to you? And so how do you define it?
Yeah, sure. So to me, a launch is very simply, it's a timed online event to sell to a lot of customers at the same time. But actually, you can make a launch work if you're selling one-on-one, because you can onboard, say, 10 clients at the same time. You can make it work with physical products. And so really the product doesn't matter so much. Now, what I don't launch is I don't launch brands, although you could do that. But still, the purpose of launching a brand is so you can sell a product or a service. So actually, it's pretty much the same thing.
You could coincide your brand, your new brand, with a launch of a product, right? And there's more eyes on everything at the same time.
Exactly. And actually, why are you launching the brand? In marketing, I always come back to why we're doing this. We're doing this so we can sell. So you might as well just sell the thing.
Yeah, for sure.
The way that we actually create launches is the whole thing's changed. Like the landscape has changed, business has changed, marketing's changed, consumers expect more. There's loads of challenges that as online marketers we're facing. And one of the things that I've noticed, and the real kind of special thing about Look to Launch, is we help people to create experiences. And so that is for us is the way that we bring people in, show them what you're about, create the most amazing experience. So when they leave that, they're like, whatever it is, here's my card, I'm all in. Rather than trying to move people towards the sale, we're just trying to make them take a step closer to you. And it is about the experience now. So I love the way that marketing has evolved. Our methodology is actually called the Launch Experience Method. And it's all about the experience that you create for people. So that's our secret sauce. Now, launches work, and launches work whether they're evergreen, whether they're a challenge, whether they're a video. But our special, unique way of doing things is live, creating an experience, and it's always an online event. So if your launch absolutely has to work, I'm going to highly recommend you create something live. You know, one of your attendees said that they're using a live event to sell a coaching program. Perfect.
And just as you say, lovely Dee Woodward pops in, who is our branding expert, who is on your Love to Launch program. She's just popping in to say hi to our lovely ladies. But in that side of things, I think you've hit the nail on the head there, really, because I think we all know in this post-COVID world that people want relationships, right? And they're more conscious about what they spend, who they spend their time and their money with, and they're also more living on purpose about what they are doing. And so now we're in this hybrid world. We're sort of coming back to live events, but we're still very much online. Rather than just putting people through funnels and then getting emails and things that they've got too much, the relationship and the experience is what stands you out. It's what makes you memorable. It's what makes people go, as you say, you get that all the time. When you've given someone a real value experience, they go, whatever you tell me to do next, I'm going to do. And people are surprised by that, but they trust you, they believe you, you've shown credibility and authority, you've given them something that they wanted straight away, whatever they sign up for. So therefore, that accelerates the trust factor.
Mm-hmm. Entirely.
Yeah. And I guess, coming on to the experience piece, like there's the community aspect, there's the connection aspect. But actually, I want to give everyone here permission today that when they think about a launch, it is something creative that you get to own, something that is your special and unique thing that you do. We have customers who do soirees, retreats, boot camps, festivals, parties, painting parties. It's so fun. And there is a formula, there is a framework you can follow, but that structure gives you the freedom to show up in whatever creative way you want to do. So I really want to change the conversation around what a launch is to how you want it to be and what gets you excited, because that's going to build your confidence in yourself. And if you build your confidence in yourself in your launch, it's going to be so much easier to sell because the transition is beautiful. It's like, if you love this, you're going to love the next step. And that's how we teach marketing. It's not about trying to be formulaic or trying to move someone into a sale, but just creating something where someone goes, oh, wow, I found my person, I found my place, and I love being here and I want to continue the journey.
Yeah, and it is
just one more thing on that. With the experiences, how do you feel about challenges? Do they fit into that?
I was literally just going to go there too. How funny.
Yeah, they do. And in some markets as well, they actually work even better. If you're in perhaps, say, the hobby space, you're in the fitness space, the health space, and people are time poor, actually doing something where they take small daily actions, they can work great. They're sometimes a little bit overdone in the marketing world. So you have to be just a bit mindful that what you're creating is something that's unique and different. But certainly in some niches, they work better than anything else. So it all depends on what works best. And if you're in the business of helping someone to create consistency, helping them create a small amount of consistency in your launch experience, then that's going to help them to make a decision that you're the right person long term. So there is no right or wrong way. There's only what works best for you and what works best for your market.
Yeah, and we do love the whole kind of, follow a framework, but don't be formulaic about it. And that's actually just been, sort of that little piece of genius.
Thumbs up on that.
I actually knew that was Liz straight away just by the genius. Yes, of course, that makes complete and utter sense. So you must have seen, just in light of everything that we've been going through. Somebody described what we've been going through as the panini to me earlier, and I actually quite like that. So in the kind of as in the pandemic, but they're not using that word at all. So they're just saying, well, with everything that we had, this is what's going on. But I'm assuming that launches have really evolved, with all of the changes that you've even outlined. So what have you seen from last year? Well, in the experience, obviously, since starting, but certainly over the period of last year and into what's happening right now. So, what's working for launches in 2021? What should some of these people be thinking about for theirs?
Sure. So launches were changing slowly. And I think if there's one thing that happened during the pandemic is things became accelerated. Traditionally, offline markets suddenly had to move online. People who use offline events to sell had to move them online. People who had one-on-one high ticket services had to start creating lower ticket services to support those who can no longer afford them. So all of a sudden, all these people who are thinking, oh, maybe one day I'll do this, had to. And what that did was increase competition. All of a sudden, everyone seemed to be launching. Everywhere you looked, there was a new online membership for this, there was a new online course for that, because everyone had to take everything online. People who were searching for offline classes now had to take them online. People who had spare time that would be filled with holidays then wanted to turn it into learning. So all of a sudden, the e-learning industry just went boom, it blew up, the online world blew up. But with that came a lot of competition. Yeah. There was this thing as well, like, I don't know about you, but Zoom fatigue. Oh my gosh, everyone was so exhausted by Zoom last year. That phrase, "you're still on mute," is kind of like,
I wish I made a t-shirt. If I had the t-shirt for that and I sold it, I would be a millionaire by now just by t-shirt sales of "you're on mute."
Oh, it's so funny. And so it was just suddenly this year of, oh my gosh, like launches are working better than ever. And I think as we come into 2021, now there's more competition. And I don't want to be like the scary marketer who's saying, like, you know, everything's difficult. I think this year is probably more difficult because of the fact that there's more competition. But I think this is where the opportunity comes. The opportunity comes from building an amazing audience of superfans, people who adore you, people who are so aligned with your brand. So showing up as you, creating a launch experience that brings in the perfect people, gives them a powerful experience and makes them want to buy from you. If you can nail those pieces, your launches are going to absolutely work. And here's the thing, you do not need to have a massive audience for that. I think people go into launches thinking, okay, I want to have this massive success, I need thousands of people, and you don't. I actually invite you to think, well, how many people do I need to bring in to convert them into customers? It's probably not that many. So there is huge opportunity. And this is where, like, the creativity aspect came in. Like, we have to do more. People are fatigued by Zoom. People are seeing launches absolutely everywhere. There's more competition than there's ever been. So it's so important that you create something that makes you stand out and that helps build your confidence. But if there's one thing that people really don't want to do, is they don't want to watch recorded video content as much anymore. They actually want to be part of something that's live. So we've seen that massive shift as well from pre-recorded to live content. Lots of my clients actually have evergreen funnels. I actually don't like the word funnel. I prefer to think of them as customer journey. They're starting to do more live because that's the thing that's working right now. So live, creative, interactive experiences where people can get involved, places where they can actually build trust, because we have to make some tough decisions when things like this are happening around us. Many small businesses are being more careful with where they're spending money. So just being able to build more connection is the thing that's going to make them say yes to you. So lots of challenges, but also lots of opportunities that came from it.
Yeah. I love the fact that one of the things that you've highlighted there is it's not, you can't wait to launch. So if you've got the product ready and blah, 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 let's not wait till we've got 10,000 people in our audience or 5,000 people on our mailing list, right? Yeah. The good thing to do is to launch and then start understanding, you know, what your baseline conversions are so that you can improve every time, right? So that's one good thing. The other good thing that I like about your content is that the formulaic steps and the foundations are the same whether you're the first time you launch or the 8-figure businesses that you're working on that have scaled tremendously. The context is slightly different, but the steps are pretty much the same. So could you give our audience a little bit of understanding of what those success traits are for a successful launcher? What do they have to be? What do they have to have in place? Could you give us some of your gems?
Yeah, who are
of course. They? So there are different stages to launching, and we actually have this in a success map. And the first stage is creating your very first launch. Second stage is a next level launch, which is optimized. Next stage is launch pro. And then we have all the way, which is launch leader. So, you know, the people who've got massive businesses who do huge multiple 7-figure launches, they're classed as what we would call a launch leader. And to have success at each stage, I believe if you show up like a launch leader, you're going to have more success. It's like if you think about someone who's maybe wanting to get more fit, if they start thinking like an athlete, what are the chances of do you think of them learning how to run, being more fit, if they embody the traits of that person? So we call them launch leader traits. Nice. And the thing is, I'm not going to ever BS anyone I talk to about launches. Launches are hard. And I think it's especially hard if you're a coach or a speaker, anyone who's kind of in the transformation space where you pour your heart and soul into your work, you care. And so the natural like peaks and dips of a launch, they can derail you. But just knowing when those kind of things are going to happen and going, okay, I knew this was going to happen, so therefore I'm ready for it. is the number one thing that you can do to help yourself. And unfortunately, most people go into launches not knowing that there's going to be quiet times that completely derail them. So just knowing when they are and showing up when things are hard is what's going to get you the result. And then there's a specific moment I want to share with everyone here today. And it's on day 2. So you've done your event, you start to sell, and on day 2, it's going to go quiet. Now, it's called Day 2 Doom. It's an actual thing. It's the name we've given it in my community. And it's this feeling of, oh my gosh, my launch is over. It's not going to work. Now, the first time this happened to me was in a launch many, many years ago. And I had some sales on day 1, about 10 sales. Day 2, things went quiet. And I was like, oh my gosh, my launch is failing. No one's going to buy. Like it's done. And the only reason I continued to show up for those 5 days where doors were open for my course was because I knew that my friends were watching me and I didn't want them to see me fail. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to pretend like everything's fine and 10's okay. I'm happy with that. But as long as they see me see this whole thing through and not just disappear, I won't lose face. So day 3 came round. I was like, okay, I'm going to take a bit more action and, just show people that I'm still here. And a sale came through and I was like, oh, okay, maybe there's a couple more. I'll keep taking more action. And on day 4, I got even more sales. And on day 5, I got even more sales than I got on day 1. And it's because the natural kind of flow of a launch it's called the hockey stick effect.
Yeah.
Flurry of sales, things go quiet and it takes off.
Yeah.
Most people don't know this. They don't know that you're going to have this dip in the middle of your launch, that if you don't know it's going to happen, it's going to completely derail you and most people quit. Sometimes I speak to people and they're like, oh, Laura, I did this launch, but I got some sales and it stopped. I'm like, okay, did you complete the whole launch?
Carry on.
Like, no.
Yeah,
Did you see it through?
Yeah.
No. So next time round, you now know this is going to happen. You know that your success is inevitable and it's going to make you show up in a completely different way. And the thing about launch leaders is they've gone through so many launches. They know this happens.
Yeah.
Here's my top tip for day 2. Go and have a spa day. Go and
Yes. Nice.
It's an actual thing. I tell my clients, go and have a spa day and just go and relax, because when that hockey stick hits and all of a sudden you're busy, you're going to feel great. Like just go and have that break. So day 2 doom is a real thing.
It is. It's that bell curve, isn't it? Around the early adopters, there are always people who are sitting there waiting, like eagerly, impulsively, kind of like, yes, I've been longing for this. And then there are those people that are still building up trust. And actually part of you showing up consistently and continuing going actually is part of the credibility check that somebody internally has around, this person might actually just be the person I want to invest in, because they're still building that up, right? Because the launch is developing that relationship that you've been talking about, that connection that you've been talking about, where they do decide, oh, this is it. And then, of course, you've got the ones on the other side of the bell curve who are all the, oh my God, did I miss it? Deadline. And the deadline people who absolutely go, oh, I better get my skates on and I've got it in there. I know some people who actually have the last day of a launch in their diary as the day to purchase. So we can't know necessarily the buying patterns of everybody who's doing it. Our job, as you say, is to have a good product and actually launch it well in a way that shows that you care, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's similar to the event world as well, because when we, especially live events, when we used to advise people that actually they'd sell in advance, but actually most people would normally find that their sign-up rates are normally 10 to 12 days before the actual event happens, when actually they think that's really late to the wire. But because people were managing diaries and just going, I don't know whether the kids are actually going to be home that day or whether they're at the club, they leave things quite late to the wire, like we're saying here, where this one is like looking at FOMO and some people go, oh, they might do a bonus, they might reduce the price nearer the end if they haven't got their sign-up, so I'm going to hold out to all of these things. But the good thing with what you're saying is that within the stuff that you teach is you're helping people preempt what could happen.
For sure.
Them an understanding to manage their mindset, but also looking at when things go wrong, because I think that's really important. A lot of people, I don't know I've ever run any launch that's gone smooth and without any
Nor have I.
What is that?
So therefore, it's having those plan Bs, it's understanding the what if scenarios, it's thinking ahead. And this is why, in my opinion, it takes much longer to launch a product than what most people come to us with. I'm calling out to our change makers here who come to us and go, hey, I got this to launch. I want to launch it in 2 weeks' time. And we go, have you done all of this? What we've mapped out for you to do. But why is that important, Laura? Why is it important for people? Well, give us some timescales of what you think to launch a product or a webinar. What would you advise, and why?
And why?
Yeah. So I'm going to say, first and foremost, there have been many launches of mine where I've had to do things rushed. I've been up against it with time. Perfect example was our summer launch this year. We just moved into a new HQ. My car had just got stolen. Loads of stress.
I saw that.
Yeah, it was awful, but new car comes this week. We're all good. We're over it. So what we had to do was launch quickly, but we've grown a lot. So I just let my team run with it. So it's the first time I was kind of able just to show up and do the lives. And that was the only piece that I did. Right. You're going to have launches like that. But to do that as your first launch, you're not giving yourself the time to warm up your audience, get them excited, to build up to the event, to give yourself enough time to do an incredible job. And if you rush that, you're just not going to do the kind of job you want to do with your launch. So give yourself that time. So my recommendations are, if you're going to do a launch experience, so that's something that is a bigger event, usually run over a week, give yourself probably a 10-week runway, so the whole thing's done within 12 weeks. Now, Some people go, yeah, but I need to launch quicker than that. In which case, do a webinar or create cash in other ways. We've actually got a training called Mission Cash Flow, and it's about how to create cash in between your launches. So sell to existing customers, upsell to people who've already bought from you, repeat customers, anything that's low-hanging fruit, and give yourself enough time to do that launch justice. Because if you rush it, your launch isn't going to work. At the end of it, you're going to go, launches suck. You're never going to do it again. Whereas if you give yourself that time just to do it properly, to build the audience, to create the experience and to sell it, you'll just have a much more enjoyable, more fulfilling and easy launch. And actually that's what it's about. It's not just about making the cash. It's about doing it in a way that feels great. So after your launch, you feel energized rather than burn out. So 10 weeks for a launch experience, a webinar promotion, a single webinar, maybe about 5 to 6 weeks. So that can actually be quicker, but just give yourself a little bit of breathing space. But also if you just try and keep it simple first time round, next time round, you can add in more layers. So for example, don't try and get affiliates involved on your first launch. Do it 3 or 4 launches down the line. So you just want to make sure you're doing things at the right time.
Yeah, and
sorry, just on that, because I'm just thinking of some of the people that have just launched in our membership now. So I'm thinking of someone like May, right, Helena?
Yeah,
so
for sure.
She's just done a launch, and actually she over her target by 120%. I think her target was to hit. So and she had this is her first ever launch. She had a small audience. So we're saying here you can get the conversions with smaller people. Yeah. What I'm asking for you, I know the question, but I want to make sure our audience knows this, is when you launch something, what's your opinion of then opening the cart back up, relaunching? How many times a year? Because it's got to fit in with your business strategy and model. And do you always do it with a 5 days cart closing and opening? What's your general advice around this? Because I know a lot of people go, well, I launched my book. I can't do another launch of my book because my book's launched. So
it's like, well,
So the amazing thing about launches is you're creating an asset in your business. So that the copy, the emails, the landing pages, the content you use to sell the product, they're all assets. So you can reuse them. So what you can do is if you want to do like a big launch, say like a launch experience where it's a week-long event, that can be your key launch for the year. You can then take that and put it into smaller webinars throughout the year where there's less need to generate as much revenue, but you're just reusing those assets. So if you think of your launch as an asset, you can use it whenever you need it, however you need it, whenever you need it, and you can repurpose it into other stuff. Now, people will say, yeah, but aren't I just repeating myself? Yes, you will always feel like with any content you create, you are saying the same things over and over and over again. And when you're reusing launch content, you're going to feel like you say the same things over and over again. But the truth is, when you're bringing new people in, they've never heard it. When people are coming back, they need to hear it because they haven't heard it enough times for them to actually make that decision. So we have people who sometimes go through 2 or 3 launches before they're able to make a decision as to whether they want to work with us or not. And so we never treat our launch as like a brand new thing every single time. That's where burnout and exhaustion comes from, by the way.
100%.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to tag May in these comments so she can watch.
I know. I'm literally like, she's in Hong Kong, so she may or may not sort of be listening right now. But it's an absolute joy to hear you just endorse that piece around it's okay. Just keep going, because it is part of your business model. It is now an asset. It is a way to put it in front of people. And the people may love what you do, but the timing isn't right in their business, or the timing isn't right for them. So our job is just to put what we have in front of people on a consistent enough basis that they get to choose it when they're actually ready for you. And all you're doing by doing the launches consistently is showing up as a trusted, credible person. So I want to talk about the fun. Like, so you're talking about all about the connection, but how do you, so in an individual launch, how do you make it fun, unforgettable, as well as successful? What are some of the tiny little things that people could or should be doing that make it work?
Yeah. So above everything, like, please try live. I know some people might go, oh, but then I've got to show up live on camera. Let me tell you, when you are sat there and you're looking at the webcam, you're speaking to that one person who needs to hear from you, and they're in the chat and they're typing away and you're having a conversation during your live content. There is no better way to serve your audience than by having that conversation with that person and making them feel like they belong, making them feel seen and heard. That is going to raise your energy through the roof first and foremost. And what I found is when I used to pre-record and script my content, I didn't know who was watching the video. I didn't know who was there in the comments. I didn't know what light bulb moments they were having along the way. And so actually the way that you launch can be fun. So things that I always do: one, always do live. Two, have a rough outline of what I'm going to talk about, but I don't script.
Right.
Three, leave in as many conversation points as I can so I can get to know people. We give away swag. We do a scholarship contest. We have a pop-up Facebook group. So I'm a coach. So every time I get to coach, I'm so happy and full of energy. But you might be different. You might be, okay, whenever I am speaking around something that's motivational, when I'm inspiring someone, when I'm calling someone out on their BS, that's when I feel my best. However, you are the lighthouse for your audience. That's what you need to weave into your launch. And there's this disconnect when you're not showing up as you. So those are all the fun parts. So I remember when I first rebranded
on that, Laura, Nancy's saying, she's clarifying. So are you saying to do Facebook Lives?
No. Actually, I want you to move away from Facebook, because in a launch where you're delivering content for maybe 45 minutes to an hour, if you can pull attention away from Facebook, someone's not going there, I'm trying to find my phone, they're going, oh, there's a notification from my sister, oh, she's got married, oh, someone's had a baby, oh, I better just reply to this. All of a sudden, they're down the rabbit hole and you've lost them. So yes, have a Facebook group so you can build community and create as many conversations as you can. But if you can pull their attention away from that platform, maybe onto something like YouTube Live or onto Zoom Webinar or Vimeo Pro, anywhere where you can stream live, StreamYard, there's many places you can actually go and broadcast your content that's away from the distraction of Facebook. Also, I've personally seen with launches, a decline in how many people join a Facebook group now. So it used to be 70% in some markets. Now it's down to 30 to 40%. Now, unless you've got an amazing group like these ladies, it can be quite hard. So what I'd say is pull the attention away, put them in a distraction-free place and focus on that as your content, and use Facebook to support the launch rather than host it now. And this is a big trend that we've seen.
Yeah, beautiful.
Nancy.
Yeah, really, really juicy. And you know, in terms of just people I think the biggest piece you've said is this showing up as yourself. Having given yourself enough time so that you're relaxed about your delivery allows you to show up as you and allows you to share from the goodness of who you are. And I think there's something to be said for when you're doing that live delivery within your launches themselves, to actively accommodate people and do that coaching so that you are getting that bounce off of people. It actually makes it feel, and I think we've been quite lucky, despite all the Zoom fatigue, I think people have actually gotten used to talking to a screen rather than just being consumers of it while sat on a sofa. You know, I think we are now much more used to actually understanding that there's a person on the end of it that we're getting to know who is paying attention to you. So I think that whole less is more whilst you're delivering your content that allows people to understand what you're about and what you're offering, but that doesn't necessarily overwhelm them with information is another little piece, isn't it?
Yeah, and the showing bit is hard, right? That's the hardest piece. And I remember when I first moved into the world of launches, you know, my competition were the likes of Jeff Walker and Amy Porterfield. And I'm sat there looking at these huge businesses and incredible people. I know them both well. And I was like, how can I ever compete? And the truth is, I never could. The only thing that I could promise, my people, when they wanted to come and work with me, that I will outcare any coach you've ever worked with. And I knew I had to demonstrate that in my launches. So what I do is I coach, but I do Q&A calls where I invite people to bring their biggest, juiciest question to a call, and I'll answer that, and I give people my time. So sometimes during a launch, because we have so many people sign up for them now, I can be on a live call for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
I'm coaching and teaching and doing the thing that I love, and really answering the questions that they need answering to help them progress. And that's where you get to demonstrate your skills and expertise. So you don't have to be the number one in your industry to actually have that success. You don't need to have a massive audience. And when you can increase your conversions by having those conversations lead to conversions.
Yeah.
And you kind of have a successful launch with a small audience. So I don't care if you're just starting out or if your competition is Amy Porterfield. Like, you just need to show up as you and just focus on the one thing that you can do. For me, I knew I could outcare anyone, and that was something that I really heavily leaned on in the early years of my journey. Now I can say, okay, we serve 8-figure entrepreneurs. I couldn't say that 5 years ago, but it's something we can say now. So focus on your special thing.
You haven't lost the caring, even with the 8-figure entrepreneurs, right?
That's right.
No, not at all.
Exactly, because we run in our membership, we run an hourly Ask Us Anything every Monday, and it's those bits that actually our members go, that's where we know that you care. That's where we really pick your brains, and we know that you know your stuff. That's where you're not just there to get me in a funnel. You're showing up because you want to see the progression in the businesses. And it's the same. Anyone watching this can demonstrate how much they care, no matter how early on in their business.
For sure.
Exactly. You only have to be a few steps ahead.
Yeah.
You do not have to be the world's number one in what you do to give someone value. As long as you're just a few steps ahead, you can serve a startup market. So I believe anyone can have success with launches. It is about serving.
There's just
It's from Nancy.
Yeah. So Nancy's just actually doing a clarifying question because she had to pop in and out, oddly enough. She says, so when you say live, do you mean webinars? That's what she's asking.
Yeah, and you can do them from slides or you can do them to camera. I actually mix the two. So when I'm teaching, because I have a tendency to go a bit rogue and go on my soapbox about bro marketers and all the things. So I use slides because it keeps me on track, stops me waffling. Also, I want to give so much value. My webinars are pretty quick paced. So yeah, we use a series of them to take someone on a journey. So for example, in our launch experience, it's called the Best Launch Ever Bootcamp. We have one on launch mindset. We have one on our methodology, so strategy. And the third one is about the long-term journey to success. Now, I do that because I want to get people into our world, help them believe in themselves. Then I teach the strategy piece, and then I show them the long-term journey. So ours is a series of live webinars, use slides, but I also have my thumbnail so people can see me as well. So it just creates that little connection point. So yes, live webinars, but a series of things, how we use them.
And just because you've mentioned those 8-figure entrepreneurs and businesses that you work with, what is what gives people the ability to scale their launch if they were thinking of doing that? How would they do that?
So here's the thing, and I think this always surprises people. When I am creating a strategy for an 8-figure entrepreneur or someone who's just starting out, the framework and the basis of the strategy is exactly the same. The things that are different is the offer. So it's probably far more scalable. So someone who's like an 8-figure entrepreneur has probably got a scalable offer where they can work with hundreds or thousands of people at the same time. So it might be a membership or a course. And so there's the back end system that is going to support that is probably very different. They have probably got a team and a team of people who'll be working on the launch. Therefore, the only job of the person who I call the launch leader is to do the lives and to show up. They've probably got different forms of traffic. They might have affiliate partners they work with, or maybe they have got a big paid traffic campaign. So team, traffic, and the actual product itself, but also the customer support. So they're the things that are really scalable. But if you think about it, the only thing that makes all those things work is the team. So it's funny because we, at that level, we train launch teams. So just starting out, we teach people how to create the experience at the launch leader stage. We're training the teams and empowering them to be better at what they do. But it is building the team that gets you to that point. So to begin with, you might start off with just a little bit of part-time support, maybe a VA doing some hours for you. But the sooner you can bring people in, train them on your launch system, and keep adding more team members into the mix, removing yourself from it and enable them and empower them to actually own those parts of the launch themselves, email marketing, social media, the tech pieces, the paid traffic campaigns, for example. the quicker you get people taking on those pieces and running with it, the quicker your launches are going to grow and scale. So over time, you might go from 3 or 4 launches a year to maybe 1 or 2 because they've grown. But the team is what drives the success long term. And it really is the key part of that. And it's why we train teams as part of our consulting offers. Because if we can train the team, launches just grow and scale from there. So that's the key.
And that's what the audience wants, right? These guys that are watching, the speakers, authors, and coaches, they're stars. So they know their stuff and they love to interact. They love to be doing this. They love to be in the spotlight. When I've done £250,000 launches with people, I've been the project manager that manages the team, right? So I've been like, okay, this is the Facebook ad person, this is the copyright, this is the affiliate partners, this is the, and somebody has to make sure that that's all working together because they know their stuff. But if someone's got doing the, you know, the Gantt charts of when they need to actually do this buy and the knock-on effect. So when your launches scale, I can guarantee you the majority of people watching this would hate that role of project.
For sure.
People, they wouldn't even know where to start of when things need to happen. So, but what you're doing here is you're starting at a level where you can still earn really good income from a smaller scale product that doesn't involve as much of that, to then take some of that profit to then go, okay, the next launch we're going to scale up, and the team gets bigger. And even so, that those team members, they're not all full-time. Some of them are on contract basis just for the projects. So therefore, you're actually budgeting your launches. You understand how much you're paying on ad spend, copywriting, how much you're employing your VA for, and blah, 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 blah. It's all part of planning the launch, which is why we say that you need to take time.
It takes a while.
You've got to treat it like a system though as well. And where people really go wrong with launches, especially in the early launches, is that they use it as a cash machine. So they will do the launch, bring in all the customers, spend the cash, and then they've got to serve. All of a sudden, they're like, oh, holy moly, I've got to launch again. And that's fine. If there will be a time in your business where you're like, I need to create some quick cash, whether it's house deposit or a wedding, or please don't, but if you've got to pay your taxes, like that does happen every now and again. Like people, I've seen it happen all the time. But if you can get to the point actually where you're taking the profit you make from your launch and investing it into the next one, and if you do this earlier on, you're going to scale so much quicker. So it's fast cash launch, that's fine, but that's not a long-term growth strategy. If you can invest in your team, and if you can take the time in between launches to systemize as much as you can, you're going to bring people in, you're going to scale so much more from there. But people think, okay, I'm just going to launch again and get some extra cash. Invest in between your launches in the systems and the team, and you will scale so much quicker than any other way. So yeah, we don't like fast cash. I do like fast cash, but not as a long-term growth strategy.
not a long-term strategy because of all that burnout stuff that we were just talking about. It's like, but you know, one of the things that I love that you've said, and again, part of the alignment with us is that, you know, Kelly and I really kind of fun, connection, and structure are the 3 things that unite us more than anything. And actually having that structure in place around, I'm going to build my business model into launches. And so when we help people actually look at what is the business model that you're running and how are you doing that, some people will factor in launches on a regular basis, some people will factor in 1 or 2. And so it's actually partly down to who is this person and how do they, you know, what is their capacity, what is their style, introversion, extroversion, you know, how much do they want to be with people, you know, how many holidays do they want to take December off, etc. So we like to help build, you know, sort of like people, our speakers, authors, and coaches, their businesses around exactly that. And so, you know, that's why launches are a great consideration for certain people around how do they do it, whether it's small, whether it's tiny, or, you know, whether it's small, medium, or indeed part of this whole, I'm going to take over the world and this will be the way that I'm going to do it, you know, because there are those ambitions in place as well, right?
And that's absolutely okay. And I think the thing you really need to establish for yourself is, why are you even using launches? So for many people that I work and serve with, you know, we serve 8-figure entrepreneurs. And so obviously we're using launches to build scale, to build scalable offers, and to create long-term stability to feed the
Yeah.
team. And so
For
that's
sure.
part of that. Sometimes we're building businesses to sell. But for many of the coaches and speakers I work with, they're like, actually, Laura, I just want to do a few launches a year and build an amazing 6-figure business where I sell my program periodically, and creating that joy and ease. And there is no right or wrong. Please don't get sucked into the idea that being successful with launches is about having a 7-figure launch. Here's the truth. I do not want a 7-figure launch in my business. I'm a coaching and consulting company. For me, with the offer that we have a program called Let's Launch Together. If I was to have a 7-figure launch of that, it would mean 500 customers. Like, let me tell you, I cannot serve 500 people, but I do work with people who have got massive businesses, 7-figure, 8 figures. But I can't have that in my company. What we use launches for is for bringing amazing people into our world throughout the year and creating a business that right now gives me the level of freedom I need for a blended family of 6, and that feeds my team. And so use launches for what you need, and don't think that you have to constantly go bigger and better. You absolutely do not. How about you went more fun and more easy, lighter and more hands-off? Like, you get to decide that. And so my number one advice when it comes to using them as a system is decide what it needs to look like first, design it around you. If you want to take August off, do that, but build the launch plan around that. So every year in January, we look at the whole plan for the year ahead, decide what launches we need in place, and then we do them. And do you know what? Sometimes we go, actually, we don't need to do a launch right now, which is an amazing place to be, but you get to decide bigger is not better.
Love it.
For sure. And so what's up for you next? I know that we've added in a couple of links, but it might be nice for you to just let everybody know how to get in touch with you, but also what have you got coming up? How can they find out more?
So we are a coaching and consulting company. So we are busy in consulting season right now, where we're managing launches and training teams, which is super fun. But one thing that we do constantly throughout the year is we have a coaching program called Let's Launch Together. So we invite people into that program all the time now. We only used to open it up 2 times a year. So I think you've actually shared the link there. Thank you. We have an incredible coaching program. It's taking you from 0 to launched in 12 weeks, but it's actually a 16-week program to give you a bit of a buffer. So if you're like, I love Laura's style, I want to learn how she does launches, it's an amazing program. You can actually get a call with Sarah, our customer success manager, on that page. So we're doing that all the time now, which is a big thing for us to be running this program. And that combined with the consulting is the biggest thing. But I have actually shared a link to a free class I'm running on Tuesday, the 14th of September. If it's the business side of things, if you've already launched or you want to fit them into a business system in your business, then that's the class to be on, because I'm going to show you what that looks like. I'm going to take you through all those different stages and how this actually works strategically, because it's all well and good like doing one launch, but launches are part of a business system. It's a revenue stream, therefore it needs strategy. So this is a really business strategic class. So yeah, I'm super excited for that one. And that's Tuesday the 14th at 7 p.m. UK time.
Awesome. So register down there, the link's below. That's a free class for you. And you can also check out the Let's Launch Together program as well, and book a call, because at least then you can do a discovery on how it's going to work for you and whether that program's good for you. And I love that it's not just a couple of times a year and that people can sign up all the way through. That's great.
It used to be, it used to be we'd only open up twice a year, but now we've gone from just Megan and I to a team of 6. My coaching and consulting capacity has gone through the roof because I'm no longer the person doing all the things. So then it came this question, like, can we actually have enrollment open all the time? And we can, which feels amazing, because some people will be like, I don't want to launch in September, I want to launch in November, and now we can. So yeah, it's amazing. We're so happy to be at that point with it.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, we are just so grateful that you've come and shared what's in your brain and in your experience and what you've seen that's working for others, and just sharing it with all our speakers, authors and coaches. So thank you. And I'm sure we'll see you very soon around and about, either in the group or indeed, hopefully, in a room somewhere, because that's actually happening.
Real world. I know, wouldn't that be amazing? Ladies, thank you so much for having me. I will check back in the comments, so keep tagging me. I'll be popping back into the group, but thank you so much for inviting me into great questions as well. So really enjoyed our conversation today, geeking out on launches.
You are so welcome. Right, we'll see you all very, very soon, and certainly next Tuesday with another training for you.